say that we broke all the speed limits, but we actually exempt from the speed limits. Then we came to Nusori, where we had over 300 teachers. So I now have to make a gear shift and talk to bankers, a completely different audience. But as part of the presentation, apart from talking about the working conditions of teachers and the improvements that have been made in respect to that, at the end of the presentation I also presented to them the key features of the 2017-2018 budget. And in that also we highlighted to them the key sectors of the economy that's contributing to the 8 years of growth that we've had consecutively now. One of the key areas, or the key area in the services sector, is the financial services area. So we've seen that the growth is about 0.42 from memory. It's quite enormous. And the reason why that is, of course, is that government, as you know, over the past few years, has been trying to position Fiji and take advantage of its geographical location as being truly a hub of the South Pacific. Now, the hub status actually does not simply come about just because it's geographically located in a particular position, but also to be able to build capacity within the country. Now, the capacity building requires the right tax regime, it requires attractive tax regime, it requires having the right human personnel or human resources, human capital is required, the right business environment, confidence, stability in policies. All of these are key factors. Even aspects such as your back-end processing regarding requiring, for example, a very strong and stable ITC infrastructure. These are very key areas that we need to be able to ensure that we have in place to be able to grow the financial services, and indeed the services sector in Fiji. And as part of the presentation, I highlighted to them also, from one perspective, any government's objective should be to ensure, in particular a small island developing state like Fiji, that we have a very broad-based economic growth. We simply cannot be dependent on just one or two sectors contributing to economic growth. So you cannot just be dependent on, say, sugar and tourism. When Cyclone Winston came, it actually did affect the vast majority of Fijians, but we were very lucky. The tourism sector largely went unscathed. Can you imagine if that had happened? The economic regression that would have taken place would have actually been quite phenomenal. Our ability to bounce back and actually have positive growth would have been actually quite, impossible, at least for a couple of years. But we were lucky. So the government's objective is to spread our risk. If we're able to grow other sectors in the economy, so if one or two goes down, the others will actually pick up on the economy. The same way with the tourism sector. We are too dependent on Australians and Kiwis as our rivals. 51% of our tourism arrivals come from Australia. About 16 or 17% come from New Zealand. If those two countries have an economic recession, then obviously we'll be in strife. This is why we want more Indians, we want more Chinese, we want other source markets, Middle Easterners to come to Fiji. This is why it's very critical for Fiji Airways to actually have direct links to Singapore. We started flying with two flights a week. Government has partnered with Fiji Airways, given them a marketing, we've partnered with them through a marketing grant. Guess what? Fiji Airways is now going to increase the frequency to 3 times a week. That means Fiji Airways now flies to every single continent that rims the Pacific Ocean except South America. So suddenly, we're now flying to San Francisco, we're flying to LA, we're flying to Hong Kong, we're flying to Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, the rest of the Pacific Island countries. So you actually are hubbing yourself again. Critical to all of this is, of course, ensuring that we have a very good financial services sector. That's where you come in. And this is where the Fiji Institute of Bankers actually plays a very critical role. It must be there to be able to build your own personal capacity, build the institutional capacity, as opposed to, ABI, which is more of a representative organization of banks. But I'm talking about professional development, both individuals and as organizations. So I'm glad that you've got these sponsorships that have been increased, and we obviously would love to partner with you in the future in a more sort of substantive manner as government. But you obviously need to see that you're able to focus on those areas that builds capacity. Because if you are able to do that, ladies and gentlemen, there's enormous opportunities. Next week on the 30th of September, the 30th of August, the Vice President of the World Bank will be in Fiji for the day, on our way to Samoa for the Pacific Islands Forum meeting, to sign the host country agreement with the Honorable Prime Minister. Now, World Bank is actually opening its regional office in Fiji. They'll be staffed by about 23 people. What does that mean? It means it brings opportunities not just for the country, but it means it brings opportunities for you to be able to interact with people with those skill sets. Who knows, one of you might get poached by the World Bank. But this is what it does. It drives competition, improves hubbing, it builds capacity, so Fiji gets a bigger footprint. We of course now have the presidency of COP23. This gives Fiji an enormous, apart from everything else, enormous branding opportunity. It also means that as we are as the Honourable Prime Minister has highlighted, we're also looking at the financial aspects pertaining to climate change. There's a lot of money that's available both for adaptation measures and also mitigation. We believe, from our perspective, that adaptation money needs to be furthermore allocated because there's a lot more emphasis on mitigation. But what it does, again, it gives Fiji the opportunity to ensure that we encroach in the areas of finance using Fiji as a hub. So a lot of opportunities in that respect, and government, of course, is very keen in respect of professional development of the various professions in Fiji. And we like to, like I said, once again, work together with you. I know that your 25-year history has sometimes had its dips and highs, but I'm glad that you've revived it. I had heard that you had wanted to close the organization down last year, a couple of years ago. Please don't think about that. We'd like to, of course, the CEOs of the respective banks are here. Please, you need to encourage such an institute to be able to, ensure that it stays there. You provide them with the necessary finance, because after all, at the end of the day, it's also helping your organizations too. The acting governor of the Reserve Bank is here. The RBF, of course, would like to see that capacity being built. So, ladies and gentlemen, without sort of giving a very long speech, thank you once again, CEO ANZ, for the invitation. There are some exciting, announcements that, of course, that were made by the 2017-2018 budget. As you know, for example, we've got an arrangement now with the Reserve Bank of Fiji, where people, for example, very basic things like, and I was trying to explain to a group of people, people have said, oh, why have you said that public bus companies, the omnibuses, the big large company buses, those below the gross revenue of $1.5 million a year will now be entitled to a special interest rate if they buy new buses. Why do we want to do that? Because we want to improve the quality of public transportation in Fiji. The example that I do give in these consultations, none of the lawyers from the Solicitor General's office who wear a suit want to catch the bus. Because they're a lawyer, they want to catch the taxi. But the same lawyers will catch the bus or the ferry or the train in Sydney, because the mindset is different. So how do we get more people to take the public transportation? Is to provide a period of time, a couple of years, to give them that impetus to be able to invest in that public sector. So we have now, for example, extended the permit of these omnibuses. So they get a 15-year license. They can then now use this license as collateral. So hopefully banks like ANZ, BSP, Westpac, Bread Bank will actually start lending to these people. Generally, you don't touch them. I'm being frank about it. They actually go to other financial institutions at very high interest rates. But now with this particular initiative, in partnership with the Reserve Bank, they can come to mainstream banks. They can get that level of finance. So we no longer have buses with tarpaulin as window. We have actual windows, maybe air conditioned. Today, if you travel from Nakasi in the morning, it takes about an hour and a half. We're doing the 4-laning of the road. She's saying 2 hours. We actually want that to stop. What do? We fix up the public transportation. We make public transportation, as they say, sexy for people to use, travel on. So we want the people from Nakasi to jump on a bus. We have the 4-lane road, we have dedicated bus lanes between 6:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. So you jump on the bus, cheaper for you, get there a lot quicker, less of a carbon footprint, creates efficiency, spend more time with your family. So these are the kind of things, many announcements we made in the budget this year. In fact, we had planned out about 3 years ago. There's a number of other things that we've actually planned out in the next 3 years too, of course after the elections. So, these are the things that we got in train, and again, it's very, very critical to have a very strong, professional group of bankers. Very strong financial institutions will give everybody that level of confidence and professionalism that we require in the 21st century Fiji. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good evening.
And postgraduate diploma from for general managers at USP. So thank you very much, and really appreciate that. Yes, you've done the right work, and in your recognition, please. Thank you. Put it